The power of silence, when saying nothing speaks loudest. The more you explain, the weaker you seem. The more you react, the more power you surrender. And the harder you try to prove yourself, the clearer it becomes that someone has gotten under your skin. Let's be honest, in a world drowning in noise, silence is no longer passive. It's strategic. When your words are twisted, when truth becomes a weapon, when your reaction fuels their entertainment, it's no longer a conversation. It's a psychological game. And the louder you get, the more you've already lost. But here's the key, you don't need to fight back. You don't need to shout to be heard. You don't need to justify yourself to be right. All you need is silence and time. Because the moment you stop engaging, karma begins its work. You stay quiet, but the universe doesn't. Truth has gravity, it always returns to where it belongs. In this video, we'll explore 7 situations where a wise man chooses absolute silence. Not out of fear, but out of strength. To protect his energy, preserve his dignity, and let the weight of others' actions crush them without his intervention. Silence isn't the absence of words. It's the presence of control. Stay until the end, the final lesson will change how you view silence forever. 1. When you're lied about. Few things sting like being lied about. The instinct is to defend yourself, correct the record, prove your innocence. But here's the truth, no one cares. The more you explain, the guiltier you appear. The more you chase clarity, the more chaos they create. Those who spread lies don't want truth, they want a reaction. They want to rattle your calm, to see you flinch, to watch you perform your innocence so they can twist it into guilt. The trap. If you react, you lose. Marcus Aurelius wrote. If it is not true, do not say it. If it is not right, do not do it. That's all. No pleading, no explaining. Live by your integrity, not their narrative. Lies spread fast but die quickly. Truth takes time but needs no defense. How to respond? Trust the long game. Falsehoods are loud, truth endures. Anchor yourself in your values. When you know who you are, outside noise can't touch you. Let karma speak. Liars drown in their own drama. Silence isn't surrender, it's self-respect. 2. When you're betrayed. Betrayal doesn't just hurt, it shatters your foundation. It comes from those you trusted most, and the pain demands answers. How could you? Why? But here's the hard truth, they've already justified it. They don't care. And the more you seek closure, the deeper you dig the wound. What they really want is your pain, your reaction proves they mattered. But when you give them nothing, no rage, no explanation, just silence. That's when they realize they've lost more than your words. They've lost your soul. Seneca wrote. A gem cannot be polished without friction, nor a man perfected without trials. Betrayal is friction. It clarifies who's real and who's not. Not everyone you love is meant to stay. How to respond? Accept who they truly are, not who you thought they were. Don't waste breath on someone who valued you in pencil. Walk away. Silence forces reflection, the one thing betrayers avoid. You didn't lose. They did. 3. When you're insulted. Insults are weapons of the weak. They're not about truth, they're about provocation. Your reaction is their validation. The moment you snap back, you've handed them control. Marcus Aurelius said. The best revenge is not to be like your enemy. They invite you into the mud. A Stoic stays clean. How to respond? Recognize the bait. They want disruption, not truth. Let your stillness speak. No flinch, no reaction, just calm. Confidence doesn't argue. Self-respect doesn't explain. Indifference is the deadliest reply. 4. When someone plays the victim. Some people don't want solutions, they want attention. They rewrite history, erase their role, and paint you as the villain. The more you explain, the worse it gets. To outsiders, you're attacking someone hurt. Epictetus said. To complain is always non-productive and never appropriate. Victim players crave sympathy, not resolution. Defending yourself only validates their act. How to respond? Don't engage. They're acting, not listening. Stay detached. Observe, don't absorb. Trust repetition. Patterns reveal the truth. You don't owe clarity to those who profit from confusion. 5. When your worth is ignored. The deepest insult isn't what they say, it's what they no longer see. You give, you care, and in return, indifference. But the more you prove your worth, the less they value it. People cherish what they fear losing, not what's always there. Seneca said. Time discovers truth. Sometimes, the truth they need is your absence. How to respond? Stop chasing. Let them feel what's missing. Say nothing. Silence forces awareness. Notice who makes the effort. The right people won't need reminders. You don't prove worth with effort, you prove it with distance. 6. When you're provoked. Some people thrive on reactions. They poke, prod, and sting, not from courage, but from insecurity. Your flinch is their win. Marcus Aurelius wrote. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. Deny them what they crave, your energy. How to respond? See the pattern. Repetition reveals motive. Hold your frame. Don't let bait pull you off center. Let calm be your power. Unshakable equals untouchable. Not every provocation deserves your attention. 7. When they regret losing you. Regret is loud, but silence is louder. After taking you for granted, they finally notice, you're gone. The silence they ignored now echoes. No man is free who is not master of himself. Epictetus. Let those words linger. Freedom is not the absence of chains around your wrists or bars before your eyes. Freedom is internal. It's the ability to govern yourself, to remain unmoved in chaos, and to stand still when the world screams for a reaction. True mastery begins the moment you decide that your peace is more valuable than being understood, vindicated, or even liked. And nothing requires more strength than choosing to walk away from the very thing your ego wants to run toward. Self-mastery means never returning to what broke you. There's a quiet war that happens inside every man. It isn't loud. It's subtle. A war between impulse and intention. Between craving and clarity. Between the false comfort of what once was, and the real discipline of becoming who you must be. To master yourself, you must bury any hope of returning to what shattered you. You cannot heal in the same environment that made you bleed. You cannot become whole around those who only ever saw you in pieces. This is not about revenge or resentment. It's about finality. Inner resolution. The kind that doesn't need closure from someone else because it was born from your own evolution. To return to what broke you is to deny the very strength you've worked so hard to build. To engage again is to say, I have not learned. How do you respond? With silence. Not passive silence, but intentional silence. Weaponized stillness. A refusal to play a game that only ends with your peace being taxed and your dignity spent. Because when someone disrespects you, betrays you, dismisses your value, or fails to meet you where you stand, it's not your job to teach them your worth. That lesson must come from life itself. And your absence becomes the curriculum. Don't make it easy. We are conditioned to chase closure, to explain ourselves, to defend, to clarify. But there's something deeply powerful about doing none of that. Especially when you know they don't deserve the explanation they pretend to want. Let them sit with the discomfort of your silence. Let them feel the hollow absence of your energy, the kind they once took for granted. The silence you offer is not a void. It's a mirror. And only the brave can look into it and see their reflection honestly. This is not cruelty. This is consequence. When someone cannot recognize the value you brought to their life, you don't remind them. You don't shrink yourself to be more palatable, more forgivable, or more accessible. You let the echo of your absence say everything your pride once wanted to scream. Resist explaining. Not because you don't have words, but because your words are no longer free. You've realized they must be earned. Explanation is a privilege. It is not owed to anyone who threw your loyalty to the wind or gambled your trust for temporary convenience. Let their actions weigh on them. Let the silence be a container in which they face the weight of their own behavior. Explanation often leads to justification. And justification, for people unwilling to change, only fuels their ability to distort the truth. They won't hear you, they'll twist your words until you're the villain in your own story. So don't speak. Let time speak instead. Stand firm, not out of spite, but self-respect. You don't owe anyone a second version of yourself just because they mishandled the first. Your growth is not up for negotiation. Your peace is not a bargaining chip. And your new boundaries are not an attack on others, they are a commitment to yourself. Self-respect isn't loud. It doesn't announce itself. It simply doesn't return to places that disrespected its presence. To stand firm is not to be cold, it is to be clear. It is to say, I know who I am. I know what I bring. And I will no longer audition for roles in lives that can't hold the weight of my truth. They had access to you. They wasted it. Let that sentence burn into your soul. Not from anger, but from awakening. You were there. You showed up. You listened. You loved. You gave chances. Maybe too many. But you gave. And that gift was not nothing. Access to you is not free. It costs energy, presence, accountability, effort, honesty. When someone misuses that access, you don't shut the door out of vengeance, you simply lock it because you finally realize the value of what's inside. And you don't announce that it's locked. You don't threaten to close it. You don't leave a note. You just go. Final thought, you don't need to yell to be heard, fight to win, or speak to make a point. Power doesn't always roar. Sometimes, it whispers. Sometimes, it says nothing at all. Silence is not a retreat, it's a recalibration. A way to return to your own center after being pulled too far into the noise of others. It's how you reclaim space after someone tried to shrink it. It's how you say, this is where I end, and you no longer begin. In a world obsessed with reactions, the man who can choose silence becomes the most feared. Because he can't be manipulated. He can't be provoked. He can't be guilted into engagement. He's not afraid of being misunderstood. He's not afraid to be alone. He's not addicted to drama or approval. He has arrived at a deeper truth, that his energy is sacred, and silence is the gatekeeper. Silence is revolutionary. In an age of performance, where everyone is broadcasting, tweeting, reacting, and oversharing, silence becomes an act of rebellion. Not everyone deserves access to your thoughts. Not every insult deserves a counterattack. Not every betrayal deserves a breakdown. When you go silent, you stop playing a game rigged to drain you. You step out of the emotional battlefield and watch others tire themselves in battles that can no longer reach you. You choose not to be dragged. You choose not to be baited. You choose sovereignty. You reclaim control. You stop letting others dictate your reactions. You stop giving them the blueprint to your triggers. You stop leaking power by being constantly available, accessible, and explainable. Silence is not retreat, it is strategy. When you don't respond, you hold the tension. You become the unknown. And in the unknown, others are forced to sit with what they've done, without your emotional labor to soften the blow. This is control, not of others, but of yourself. The highest form of strength. You step out of the game. There comes a time when you realize the game isn't worth playing, not because you can't win, but because the reward is no longer worth your soul. You don't need revenge. You don't need validation. You don't need the last word. What you need is alignment. Peace. Detachment. When you leave the game, others will try to drag you back in with provocations, rumors, lies, or guilt. Let them. You are no longer in the arena. You're in the mountains now. And from that higher ground, the chaos below looks small. Let time, truth, and karma finish what others started. There is a justice system far greater than yours. One that doesn't require retaliation. One that doesn't operate on your timeline. One that sees what you don't and works in silence, just like you. Karma is not about punishment. It's about reflection. Correction. Restoration. Let it work. Let truth rise on its own. Let time reveal what you already knew. You don't have to convince anyone anymore. Just keep walking. A Stoic doesn't chase approval, beg for closure, or crumble under noise. A Stoic doesn't need the world to understand him. He doesn't derive his power from being right or righteous. His strength lies in restraint. In knowing that peace comes not from controlling others, but from mastering himself. Closure. He provides it to himself. Approval. He no longer requires it. Noise. He doesn't respond to it. He simply walks in alignment. And anything that no longer vibrates at the same frequency falls away. He trusts this process. Next time someone lies, betrays, insults, or provokes, don't engage. This is your test. Can you be still when your ego wants to scream? Can you walk away when your pride wants to fight? Can you remain grounded when the world tries to shake you? It's easy to retaliate. It's easy to yell, to rage, to defend. What's hard, what's powerful, is not giving them the satisfaction of your reaction. Don't give away what they couldn't earn. Don't explain. Don't perform. Just watch. And wait. Let them speak on your name. Let them twist the story. Let them think they've won. And while they do all that, stay still. Because in the silence, everything reveals itself. Their character. Their patterns. Their regret. Your only job is to stay clean. Stay grounded. Stay unmoved. Because in the end, the truth doesn't need defending. It just needs time. Karma doesn't need your help. It just needs your silence. Let this be your final vow. You don't need to orchestrate justice. You don't need to play God. You are not the judge, jury, or executioner. You are the soul in evolution. Let the universe do what it does. And in the meantime, build. Heal. Grow. Rise. Let your silence speak in ways your words never could. Because when you walk in discipline, when you remain still, when you choose silence over reaction, you are no longer playing their game. You're playing your own. And in that game, you never lose. If this message found you at the right time, share it. Or say nothing. Because sometimes, the most powerful thing you can say is nothing at all.